Fox News alert, the Biden administration revealing at least 400 Americans are still stuck in Gaza right now. Egypt is allowing a limited number of nationals out. We're not on the list, it seems. Civilians have to have a chance to go through the Rafah crossing now. We just got to get Americans through.
Yeah, meanwhile, fighting rages inside Gaza. The IDF says dozens of Hamas terrorists were killed overnight, and the number of Israeli troops killed in combat rising now to 17.
Meanwhile, here at home, Vice President Kamala Harris has announced a national strategy to fight Islamophobia. This while anti-Semitism is surging all across the country, including at places like where Lawrence is.
Yeah, we are live from the iconic kosher second half deli. It was vandalized with a swastika about 2 weeks ago. But first, we're going to check in with Trey Yingst live on the southern border of Israel. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Battles rage on behind me inside the Gaza Strip, days after the Israelis pushed forward with a partial ground operation into Gaza. We do know the death toll among the Israeli military has risen to 17 soldiers this week. They are engaged in heavy fighting, not just in the northern part of the Strip, but also in other locations, we are told. I do want to step out of the frame here just to show you some of the destruction along the northern part of Gaza. The Israelis say overnight, different cells across the northern part of the Strip fired anti-tank guided missiles at troops, detonated explosive devices, and even threw grenades at those soldiers that are operating inside. We do have video of an attack helicopter that Yaniv Turgeman, our cameraman, shot yesterday. The Israelis are trying to use as much air support as they can to help those infantry troops because they are engaged in significant fighting, and Hamas militants are popping out of tunnels and ambushing them. And so it makes an incredibly challenging battlefield for the Israeli forces as they look to surround Gaza City and ultimately push deeper into that major population center. Some good news that we do have today, though, that southern Rafah crossing between Egypt and Gaza is open once again to not only let injured Palestinians leave to Egyptian hospitals, but also to allow some of those foreign nationals to get out of Gaza. We should note that yesterday, one of the aid workers we've been in close contact with was able to leave. I've been texting another aid worker today. She says she's on her way to Cairo. A group of 5 Americans left as part of a larger group that was able to cross yesterday. And even this morning, that woman that we told you about that lives in Utah, she says she is at the border right now. She sent me a voice note. She says she is waiting for the Egyptians to open the crossing, but she does believe, according to what the State Department's told her, she'll be able to get out of Gaza today. So some small pieces of good news amid this very tragic story. Guys?
That's right. And it sounds like, Trey, Gaza has released a list with 600 foreign passport holders that they will release, including 400 Americans. But on the other side, the country of Egypt says they will help evacuate 7,000 foreigners. So is that how many ultimately they will let through the passage?
I'm not sure. And we've seen a lot of numbers go back and forth. The Egyptians are releasing some numbers, but then on the ground, they are not actually allowing these people out of Gaza. And
Right.
So we're just waiting to see who we can talk to that's actually been able to cross. And the only person that I've spoken with over the past 24 hours that has confirmed they've actually been able to make it into Egypt was this aid worker and this group of aid workers. And they crossed not just on their own, but also with the help of the State Department trying to get them to the top of the list. And then also private organizations that were helping to shepherd them through Gaza, making sure they were in safe locations before they were able to cross. So it's quite a mess on that southern border, and it's not clear where the names are coming from. There are embassies that are delivering names, but how they're getting prioritized and who gets to leave first. And that's part of this question that we have today.
Trey, I think Lawrence has a question for you.
You know, thank you, Ainsley. Trey, I'm curious. There was some reporting from Caitlin Collins from the pool yesterday doing a Biden fundraiser. Apparently, the president, when asked from a protester, should there be a ceasefire, the president said he wanted a pause until all the hostages were released. I'm curious, what are the Israelis saying about this reporting?
So the Israelis have responded when we posed this question to them with just 2 words: no ceasefire. They are unwilling to conduct any sort of pause in the fighting. because they say they are going to continue until they finish their goal of destroying Hamas leadership inside Gaza. And we should note, Lawrence, that today the Israelis say the number of hostages being held inside the Strip has ticked up to 242 people. And it just gives you a sense they are still gathering information about who was pulled into Gaza. I do want to play some sound for you, though, if we have it. A senior Hamas official actually spoke yesterday about the entire situation and the conflict, and his words are important in the context of calls for a ceasefire. We're talking about Gaza Hamid, a senior Hamas official, and we'll play that sound for you if we have it here.
Israel is a country that has no place on our land. We must remove that country because it constitutes a security, military, and political catastrophe to the Arab and Islamic nation and must be finished. We are not ashamed to say this with full force. We must teach Israel a lesson, and we will do this again and again. The Al-Aqsa flood is just the first time, and there will be a second, a third, a fourth, because we have the determination, the resolve, and the capabilities to fight.
I interviewed Ghazi Hamid one time in Gaza City, and he is considered a more moderate voice in Hamas, just to give you some context to that soundbite there. And so one of the more moderate voices from the organization is calling for more massacres against civilians. And so that's part of the reason the Israelis say there will be no ceasefire, and they plan to continue fighting against this group.
Wow, Trey, so complex, but it's good to hear the other side speak out. Unedited and think that they actually have a good point. It's crazy that that's their mindset, but the Israelis know what they're up against, and obviously so do you. Trey, thanks so much.